If you're living with retroactive jealousy, basically you are tormented by thoughts and images about your partner's past. Probably one of the questions that you keep asking yourself is what to do about this, how to resolve it, how to solve it, how to move past it. Hi, this is Noemi Seri. I am a retroactive jealousy specialist, and I'm going to give you a few tips here. Now, first and foremost, one thing, if you're watching this, you are most likely somebody who has watched quite a few. So I suspect this is not the first one. That's probably why you even know about the name retroactive jealousy. So understanding doesn't equal transformation. Yeah, so knowing a lot about reading about things, knowing about things, learning about things, watching about things, thinking about things doesn't necessarily lead to transformation, which is to say to be able to behave differently and to feel differently in situations when you are triggered. So this is really important because it is so easy to get stuck in a place of trying to solve our problems by learning more and more about it and finding that months and even years go past and we're nowhere close, and yet we are experts in the topic. So understanding doesn't necessarily lead to transformation. What does lead is application. So application of different ways of behaving, different ways uh, of thinking, and of course, you also want to create certain routines that actually will be different. So create a different dynamic in your relationship and also a different dynamic in your mental patterns. So what is it that you can apply, right? Then the question is, yes, but I have tried so many things. So what else is there that I can apply? It is unfortunate that sometimes we need to try different things, different modes, um, because not everything works for everybody or not everything works at every level. Yes, so you might have tried something that is just two steps ahead. So you might need something to be able to actually apply something. So need one more step. It's just one step ahead. And also, there are some things that actually need persistence. So, trying something once might not work, whereas trying something for a year might. Yeah, so, there are certain things that need to be taken into consideration. Now, I'm going to just talk about three things that could potentially help you. One is uh, an embodied, an embodied or basically somatic body-based application. We often, especially when we are talking about anxieties and fears, we are basically focusing mainly on our thoughts. And one way of disrupting that, those patterns, thought patterns, those um, feelings as well that come with it is basically instead of focusing on what is in our mental landscape into what is happening in the body. So what is happening in the body? So what are you tensing? Are you tensing up? Are you flopping? What is the experience at the body? Because it is the most powerful and fastest way for you to actually get out of your thoughts and into what is the present moment, basically the only reality that we know. Because everything is just memories and plans. But you want to be, and actually in our mind, we access these memories and plans, but the body is in the present moment. So just by focusing on your feet or focusing on your on sitting on your buttocks, sitting on a chair, and feeling that, or feeling the sensation of the air. Is it cold? Is it warm? It's a very nice way of disrupting what is going on in your mind. Therefore, you might actually be able to either uh, not go on to those compulsive behaviors, such as trying to learn more about your partner, asking them questions or stalking them, or maybe withdrawing. Yes, so but still feeling disconnected and alienated from your partner. So in because often we go in one of these directions, kind of pulling back and not saying a thing, or in a way attacking the other person. Yes, I want to know more because I want to resolve this issue in my mind about your past. So in either case, bringing it back to the body and feeling what is happening and potentially changing that. What happens if you tense up, if you soften? What happens if you are actually limp, if you tense up a little or just sit differently? A second way you could go about it is breath work. That as well is a wonderful way of becoming more mindful. So just feeling, just focusing on breathing. It's a wonderful way to disrupt, but also you could start by focusing on how you breathe in these moments, these micro moments, as I talked about previously, these moments before you react to something. So, are you breathing differently? And what happens if you actually slow down your breath or maybe speed up your breath? So, what happens when you're playing with these things? Because yet again, you're focusing on something other than the thoughts. And that's a wonderful way to disrupt patterns or slow them down. And when either of these things happens, you're bringing in something that has been missing, which is choice. And with choice comes a sense of control over things because we can't control our thoughts, but we can control whether we interact with the thoughts. We can control our breathing, and our breathing has this wonderful capacity of interact. So it has uh, a way of calming us down or perking us up. So basically, it has an impact on our nervous system, and it's a very potent, immediate tool that you can use. And the third one is going back to thoughts, looking something behind the thought, because that's where the real transformation happens. It's always at the source, at the core of things. What is behind what sort of beliefs? So instead of analyzing the thoughts that you have, or instead of thinking or trying to solve something or trying to solve it by looking outside of yourself, look at the beliefs that drive these behaviors, drive these thoughts. And once you see them, let's say take one belief. Some it might be a belief about how many partners somebody should have or whether they should have, about what your expectations are of your partner, about virginity, about purity, about specialness, and see, write that down, because we often respond differently to what is written down than to what we just think about. And ask yourself, is that serving you? Is that something that you really believe? And is that something that is building you and building the relationship? Or is that something that might be the belief of somebody else, or might be something that is no longer relevant to you? Because from here you can take action. But if it is relevant, for instance, a belief is relevant, then you can ask yourself whether you are compatible with your partner, whether there is something like that behind it, behind your fears, or whether there's something else. So it allows you to to move forward and to have different choices rather than just go with the cycles that you have experienced and have left you with more suffering and anxiety.